Hello friends, think the stories in the Bible must be boring. Think again. The story of Elijah and the prophets of Baal. A story of faith and fire might change your mind.
The story of Elijah and the prophets of Baal is one of the most dramatic showdowns in the Bible, filled with tension, faith, and a miraculous display of God's power. This encounter, recorded in 1 Kings 18, takes place during a time of spiritual decline in Israel. King Ahab and Queen Jezebel had led the people astray, encouraging the worship of Baal, a Canaanite deity, and abandoning the worship of the Lord. Elijah, a prophet of God, was determined to prove once and for all who the true God was. Elijah confronted King Ahab, accusing him of leading Israel into sin. With boldness, Elijah proposed a contest. He summoned the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah to Mount Carmel. The challenge was simple. Both sides would prepare a bull as a sacrifice and place it on an altar without setting fire to it. Each group would call upon their God, and the deity who answered with fire would be recognized as the true God. The people, intrigued by the bold proposal, agreed. "What you say is good." 1 Kings 18:24. The prophets of Baal went first. From morning until noon, they cried out, "O Baal, answer us." They danced around the altar, shouting and pleading, but there was no response. As the hours passed, Elijah began to mock them. "Shout louder," he said. "Surely he is a god. Perhaps he is deep in thought, or busy, or traveling. Maybe he is sleeping and must be awakened." 1 Kings 18:27. Desperate, the prophets slashed themselves with swords and spears, as was their custom, until their blood flowed. Still, there was silence. No fire, no voice, no answer. When it was Elijah's turn, he took a radically different approach. Rebuilding the altar, Elijah repaired the Lord's altar, which had been neglected. He used 12 stones to represent the 12 tribes of Israel, emphasizing unity and their covenant with God. Drenching the altar, to leave no doubt about the miracle, Elijah instructed the people to pour water over the sacrifice and the wood. They did this 3 times, until the water filled a trench around the altar. Prayer to God. Instead of shouting or making a spectacle, Elijah prayed humbly and confidently. "O Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and have done all these things at your command. Answer me, O Lord, so these people will know that you, O Lord, are God, and that you are turning their hearts back again." 1 Kings 18:36-37. Immediately, fire fell from heaven. It consumed not only the sacrifice, but also the wood, stones, soil, and even the water in the trench. The people fell prostrate and cried out, "The Lord, He is God! The Lord, He is God!" 1 Kings 18:39. Elijah's prayer had been answered in a way that left no room for doubt. Elijah seized the moment to purge Israel of Baal worship. He ordered the people to capture the prophets of Baal, who were then executed at the Kishon Valley, fulfilling God's judgment. To cap off this incredible day, Elijah prayed for rain after 3 years of drought. Soon, the skies grew dark, and a heavy rain fell on the land, symbolizing God's restoration and mercy.
Lessons from the story. Faith over fear. Elijah stood alone against hundreds of false prophets, demonstrating that one person with faith in God is never truly outnumbered. God's power. The dramatic display of fire reminds us that God's power is unmatched and undeniable. Turning back to God, the people's response shows that even in times of spiritual drift, hearts can be turned back to God through His mighty works. Elijah's boldness and God's miraculous intervention on Mount Carmel remain a timeless reminder of the power of faith and the necessity of worshiping the one true God. So, how is that for a boring story?